single time that I do watch it, I feel really sad and uncomfortable. She's 16 years old, somewhere on the autism spectrum, and being paraded around like some sort of Joan of Arc figure, and I can't help but feel that this is exploitative. And really, guys, do not get me wrong. Kids are completely entitled to their opinions and belief systems. That's fine. They're also entitled to want to change things. Literally nobody goes to children for anything. I don't know, except maybe to feel frustrated or witness temper tantrums. I don't know. I mean, it's probably clear at this point that I am not a parent, but like, nobody wants your hope, kid. We're adults. We're fresh out of that. You know what gives me hope? Lower taxes.
Hola all, welcome back to Soul Mechanics. Please step into my office. My kitty is a little stinky, just try to put up with her. So what we will have just seen there, hopefully, should this all work out to plan, is our person of interest in this particular video, in this segment of videos, having presented an immediate and solid contradiction to her own sentiments, saying that and she said these were out of order. So think of this, first one came second, actually. She's going to have said that kids' opinions are useless and worthless, nobody cares about them, it's just, why would we even think of you know, considering children? And then a little later on down the line, she's going to go ahead and say, of course children are entitled to their opinions, and their opinions matter to some extent or another, but of course you just stated that they don't. And this is not only a child, technically, I mean, this is a young lady. She's 17 years old. She's, for all intents and purposes, and with what she's doing, the way that she's presenting herself, which I should like to state, she also says, in these sentiments, she says that she's fresh out of hope. She's an adult, so she doesn't have hope. Let me tell you something, lady Sydney. You are not an adult. And you very most certainly do not speak on behalf of adults generally. And it may be the values presented in this compilation of sentiments may be a little obscure, but if any skilled spotter sinks their teeth into it, that package does in fact contain everything that is necessary to, for all intents and purposes, defeat the purpose of your own channel entirely. Like, this is what you're calling a child, which obviously, the way that she's presenting and handling herself, she is an adult. Because when we speak to adulthood, what we're speaking to is maturity. Your age does not come into play in this concern, or in this regard. Adulthood is a measure of maturity. And intrinsic to maturity is acceptance, acknowledgement, and management of responsibility. Intrinsic to responsibility is going to be hope. And anybody that gives a shit about their lives in general, or anything for that matter, but most especially who gives a shit about children and the future of our species and our people, of our family, it would never suggest such a ridiculous suggestion as to discard hope. Not only are you lacking in hope, but you're actively dismissing it because you think that's an adult manner of thinking, an adult fashion of being. No, that's precisely the opposite. You are presenting yourself as a child. However, you're suggesting that this person you're implying is a child, or insinuating is a child, and a woman, and not only a child and a girl, female, but with on the autism spectrum as well. I mean, you're like really launching missiles at everything that's supposed to have mattered to you a moment ago. And it's like, I'm fairly certain you don't even see this happening, but the fact of the matter is that you're very likely doing it again just to jump on this fucking bandwagon, to take advantage of this Greta Thunberg scenario, and most importantly to you, apparently, is to pretty much just to negate and for the most part stand against firmly, without any personal reasoning, anything that seems to represent this other side of the imaginary divide you're on. This imaginary line you've got drawn between Republicans and Democrats, the left and the right, as Cheeks would put it, the white and the blue hats. Or I'm not sure where that came from. Is that a thing? White and blue hats? I don't know. But, I mean, it makes sense, obviously, as a simple analogy. You know, whoever's wearing that blue hat is an enemy insofar as regards this political standard. And that's very, very childish. And so, no, you do not represent adulthood, madam. Not by any measure. So, we're going to go ahead and disregard that consideration insofar as regards Greta Thunberg. Any association to her. No, your opinion doesn't matter. In your own words, nobody cares about what children have to say. And you are effectively throwing a tantrum here by complaining about her simply because she seems to stand on the other side of your political fencing. So, that doesn't work. And Sweetie Cheeks wholeheartedly agrees with me here on this, so I can speak on behalf of her with that one. Not in so many words, but she did throw a fit. Again, you guys missed it. 5 minutes later, and you would have seen the whole thing go down. But yeah, I mean, there are aspects to Greta Thunberg and her presentation we're going to have to get to eventually, as I stated. There are things that don't quite add up, things that don't line up. There are factors in play that YouTubers such as yourself and Abbas Lesio, for example, have brought up that do in fact play into this for various reasons, but I'm going to go ahead and bet it's none of the reasons that you're seeing. And it's differing factors, even. But there are values in play here that kind of plot out a scenario. As I like to refer to things as being a game, there is a script here for it that we can see happening. But again, also, we're going to step away from that script for a moment, give you guys a break, give us a break with the whole Greta Thunberg thing and the investigation, and give us some time to really work at it too. But in that time, I should like to say that, you know, Sweetie Cheeks presents this, I guess you could say, kind of an argument or a commentary at least, if not a suggestion about, you know, she keeps bringing up, well, who's qualifying the qualifier where it comes to making decisions and where it comes to, you know, making critical decisions on behalf of humanity, no less. Who qualifies the qualifier? She keeps raising that. And then we got to the Georgia Guidestones thing, which, I mean, from what I see, the Georgia Guidestones is a pretty great idea. Everything about it is, I resound it wholeheartedly. It's a perfect a list of 10 considerations to take into consideration that any sane, rational person would have to agree with. So, I mean, where people disagree, I even seen a person disliked the video where we talked about the Georgia Guidestones, likely because I agreed with them, wherein you agree with them too. You're just refusing to acknowledge that because somebody told you that it's like a conspiracy and it's some one world government is trying to get everybody killed and whatever it is. I don't even know. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a closer look at that, I think, for our next video, because what I'm going to go ahead and do here as regards Sweetie Cheeks and her opinions of the Georgia Guidestones, I mean, she obviously was being affected by it too. She went ahead and she started even picking out words and implying or insinuating even values into these words and their potential meanings in order to back up this concept that it's some kind of an evil or hazardous ploy, that these 10 suggestions are presented by somebody who's, you know, out to get us in some way, or whatever the case is. This whole conspiracy jive with this, which, okay, firstly, there would be very good reason, and this is the only logical conclusion to come to where it comes to these Georgia Guidestones, there would be very good reason for the people who actually do want to control you, do want to profit from you, do want to harm you and take advantage of you, to spot cast you into believing that these Georgia Guidestones are evil, because what they tell you is pretty much the cure. Like, what they tell you is how to turn things around and how to do better and how to take back the reins of responsibility, essentially, and to not be controlled and taken advantage of and profited from and even, harmed or even killed by whatever dark forces are in play. The only people that would want for you to believe that these Georgia Guidestones are in some way evil would be what you'd call the evil forces. That's the only logical determination to come to as regards what might be some conspiracy afoot. So that's something to keep in mind, but like I said, Even Cheeks was affected by it, and she consistently brings up this who qualifies a qualifier kind of plot point. So I'm going to go ahead and take it upon myself to issue a formal challenge to my own partner. Digital glove, digital slap to the face. Sweetie Cheeks, you are hereby challenged to a debate on the critical value and factor, because this is going to be presented in the channel ongoing. So let's get this taken care of now and decide who in fact does qualify the qualifier. So that said, that's going to be a plot point for the next video. Hopefully, if Sweetie Cheeks is not too afraid to accept my challenge, we might have a little debate there as regards that notion, clear it up, and see what values we're going to be bringing into play for the channel ongoing. But as regards this video and our reaction to it, wow, like, this political schematic, what really brings to bear in this, nothing about Greta Thunberg is said here. What Sydney Watson's ultimate conclusion here is in the video, if you check it out and watch through the whole thing, basically what she's trying to argue here, her argument raised, is that because children elicit emotional responses in the community, heavily elicit emotional responses in the community, and because it's been known that political agendas will take advantage of emotional factors in the community to leverage, one way or the other, to leverage their agenda, that must be what's happening here. And she says that because Greta Thunberg and children in general could be taken advantage of in this way to serve some political agenda in the future, that must be what is happening now. That's pretty much what she says. So we're back to the same kind of premise as the simulation theory, wherein we say, well, because we might be able to make one in the future, that must be what's happening right now. No. That doesn't make any sense. The only way that makes any sense whatsoever is if you are considering brainwashing. Like, I'm brainwashed into thinking that I'm this right-wing conservative, I'm sure religious to some extent, kind of nutbag, essentially. I'm sorry, that's not meant to be a personal attack, but that's pretty much what Sydney Watson presents here in this video, is she really defeats the purpose of her entire channel within the scope of that single contradiction, and presents herself as being a really, like, hardwired political nutcase, like got screws loose kind of just this thing with the political schematic, and your obsessive fanaticism towards it is really, it's not bordering on religious, it is a religious construct, and it's you worshiping this religious construct in such a way as to even disavow the importance or the very integrity of us as a species as regards the importance of our home, of our planet. Like, we're not supposed to have hope because taxes. Lady, you can't do that on my watch. So this is where the line is drawn, and I'm going to have to say, I guess, I don't know, like, really just kind of be careful going into the future, because I'm going to be checking in on you every now and then. And that was just, like, you don't speak on behalf of adulthood, especially in saying that we should not have any hope for the future, because money matters more than hope. I mean, for the most part, money kind of plays into hope. Like, we're going to hope on everybody having a decent sum of money, should we require it in the future. If currency needs to remain, then, and it does, for the most part, currency does need to remain. So we're going to hope that we can clear up the corruptions in it, which are essentially produced by your political agenda, the political agenda that you present. On either side of that fence, the fence itself is where that corruption is going to have come from ultimately. So, yeah, we need to do away with the corruption. Currency will have to remain. Hopefully we can sustain a legitimate amount of currency for everybody that needs it, like keep everybody afloat, and try to work on these issues where we have so many people that are so far below the bar, below the average, that they're really suffering, such as myself, for example. I don't have a great deal of money. I mean, honestly, I pay my taxes insofar as I am able. Sometimes I'm not able. I'm not working, but there are huge spans of time where I can't get any work because the economy is that fucking shitty because of your politics. And but I pay my taxes where I'm able, and what do I get out of it? More of this ridiculous, childish idiocy, this fantasy politics. I'm sorry. That's just, as I said, be careful going into the future with your channel, because you've already given me everything I need to shoot down everything you present. I'm not saying that I'm going to do that. It's not a threat. I'm just saying if you step over that line into our territory and start doing damage, which is what you're doing here, you're doing damage to you. You are trying to, and probably succeeding at, convincing people to disregard the environment and any issues that might be occurring with it, because whomever your spokesperson is disagrees with that on merit of politics alone. Like, this is just our stance regardless of the moral or ethical factors in play. We stand against that because somehow it's representing the left. No, you can't do that. I'm going to have to advise against doing that in the future. Again, as I've stated to so many other people, we may be a small channel, but we will get you. We will get you. So, on that note, to close, before I go, Kilo Salai, of course, Terviyune Siari, Namaste. Hopefully Terviyune Siari, forward together, all as one. Maybe we can stop, childishly fighting with each other, treating the entirety of the world and our potential future as a fucking pillow fight. In closing, sweetie cheeks. So, the young lady in question says that, what did she say first? She said
literally
that kids are...
no one comes to children
yeah,
for
nobody
anything.
comes to children for anything.
Oh, honey, no one wants your hope. I'm all fresh out because I'm cool and I'm an adult.
Yeah.
What gives me hope is higher taxes.
And lower taxes.
Lower taxes.
Lower
I want
taxes.
more
That's
money.
what gives her hope.
That's what gives me hope, honey. Ugh.
For you, madam, thank you for playing.
Eyeballs.